Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I now call to order the Norwood Cultural Council's meeting for June 11th. And we just have a few things on the agenda to get through. And then we will be able to adjourn pretty quickly. And we'll start out with the treasurer report with Shalanj, if you want to give us any updates if there is anything. If not,
So we received the $500 check from Harvard Pilgrim. And so that has been, it was received directly into the town. They called me, gave them the account, so it should be in our account now. So thank you, Deborah. Then, so what I'm doing now is trying to take a look at and get a hold of people that see if there's any mail that we've received so far. The last time I checked a couple of weeks ago, Bernie said there was no mail, and so we hadn't received any. I know we've received some via email, so I'm currentally going through those. I'm going to email them to Mary because I believe the town hall's still not open. I don't. Does anybody know?
You know what? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think if it is, it's limited. But
okay.
Yeah.
So I'll see if I can just email all the information to Mary.
Okay.
In order to get those processed, and then they've been mailing the checks directly to the recipients. Instead of giving them to me and I mailing them, me mailing them. I'm planning on going through all of that, seeing how many reimbursements we have. I did, okay, the town hall's still closed. Okay, so seeing how many we have, if there's going to be any money left over. The town money we do have to spend before June 30th. But in light of so many programs being canceled or postponed, we will see if there's some paperwork I can put through to get it put in as a receivable for us to use next year. So that's kind of just a little bit of paperwork I'd have to do, but I've seen a couple of reimbursements come through, and we've already paid some from the town money, so hopefully we won't have to do that. We'll have enough that come in that we're able to do that.
Can I just ask? Sorry, Kate. How much money do we have to has to be spent out of that slot?
The full $2,000 from the town.
Just $2,000. So we probably have enough programming that happened before. So do we know which programs those were, and do we know if they put in for their reimbursements yet?
I know that we've got quite a few emails, so I have to go through those. As of, let me see, it looks like we had $922 that was already spent. Let me just take a quick look.
Would you like us to, going off a list, go back and send emails to people to try to rustle up some of those reimbursements? Would that help you?
Yeah. Why don't I'm going to take a look and see who we've heard from, because we've gotten some emails that people have, and maybe I know Kate, you have corresponded with some people who either delayed or have changed and whatnot. So I don't want to contact them. So maybe I can correspond with you at some point this week and then send out a reminder email this week. That gives them a couple of weeks to get it in, and I can submit it before the 30th.
Okay.
But yes, we did have $922 that's already been paid out of the town account. So I'm pretty sure if you have about another $1,000, that's on average about 4 to 5 grants. So if we have 4 or 5 reimbursements in our email, then we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Oh, hi, sorry. So if something was canceled due to COVID and they want to have the program again next year, do they have to reapply, or is that money already sort of set aside for them?
No, I mean, what the state was recommending is that we basically let people have their money given the circumstances. So the last time we met, we voted, I think, for one person to officially be able to delay. But
We only voted on that one, but I imagine there are so many more that are being delayed.
Yeah, I think there probably are several more. And what we could do, if it makes sense to everyone, since there are 5 of us, is we could vote more generally and say, in case it's difficult to get us back together as people come in piecemeal, we could just say that this year's grants money be given unconditionally or whatever. That would simplify things, and it is what the state was recommending. And it would be probably helpful to our grantees. So
I think that's a great idea. Should we make a motion and vote? We have
does
enough people to
anybody
do that?
Shanj, can you think of any reason, like on your end, why that's, I mean, it would just simplify it for you too, or any
Yeah,
questions?
that would be fine. We can carry over the money for next year and give it to them. And the only thing is if they want to change their program. So if it's not the exact program that they applied for, and say they can't get that program anymore and they want to take that grant for another program, they'd have to reapply.
Yes, but would we say that they would just have their money to put toward it, to say like, okay, yes, and they could
The
reapply
originally
for-
funded money would be fine.
Yeah, and they could apply for additional funding next year.
Can I just clarify? Do they actually have to reapply like through a grant, or are they just communicating through email saying, I can't get X author, but we have this author to come. We'd like to apply the money from the grant for the first author to the second.
No, I think, no, that's okay. I think we're saying that's fine. We don't need to piecemeal approve those. What I think the other piece of it is that this year's money, they can hold over, but if they want to apply for additional funding next year, that would be separate.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
There
here's
was one, okay, go ahead.
if they
There was one person that canceled.
right if sorry, I have a little bit of an echo here. So if they put off their program till next year, the thing that I'm worried about is if their program was $1,000 and we give them $200, them applying now for additional money for the same program. This is kind of like a second part 2. Are we going to allow that? Because then essentially we're paying for the same program twice, but it's in 2 different years. So we're essentially increasing their funding for the same program.
It really should make a huge difference.
I guess that could
It could be
we
that,
can think about that when we do the grants for the next year
Yeah.
and how we want to.
and it could be that our funding is changed too. Like
Right.
what we don't know is that we will get as much money. So it's hard. Yeah, we would
You
have
might
to
have to
make
think of
those-
those priorities.
Yeah.
Okay. So in my case, I think it's fine as far as a logistical, as long as it's the same program that they want to use the money for. So if they want to change the program, then they would have to reapply. But if it's the same program, then they can go ahead and carry over the money.
Right, but if it's a different author, then we're okay. They don't necessarily need to apply for that change necessarily, right? Like because maybe that person wasn't available.
There's a precedent set by the Cultural Council in years past. Things happen with programs. For whatever reason, you could get an artist that was sick. You could have something like we had a hurricane that happened a couple of years ago when we were doing programming at the middle school, and we were absolutely unable to get that band back. So but we still had money. We came back to the council and said, I can't remember what the hurricane was. It was probably, 9 years ago or whatever. We weren't able to get this. This is what we want to do instead. And they just approved it. It was a simple email. And I think just given all the stuff that's going on, it shouldn't be that big a deal. I don't think they need to put in a new grant. I think an email to us with approval should work.
I think the question is more right now with COVID, like normally to Shalonja's point, we would have them check in as they go. But right now, since they have until June 30th, which is not very much time, and say it comes in, as a change had been made, we don't necessarily need to meet to approve again.
Oh, no. So the current grantees have until December 31st to use their funds. June 30th is just the town money that needs to be spent. The rest of the state money and all the rest of the programming, they have until December 31st.
Okay.
Yeah, they have through the end of the calendar year to do their program. So if they wanted to carry it over into 2021, then those are the grants that we're talking about. If they're not able to do it in calendar year 2020, then if they wanted to carry it over into 2021, then those are the things we'd have to either blanket approve. Yes, if it's the same program, but you're going to do it in the spring of 2021, because it was supposed to be done this spring.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen, so they're doing it the following spring. And those are the ones that we're essentially carrying over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really sound like it's going to be a big issue. And the only thing, like Emily Kai had a really time sensitive one, and we went ahead and approved it for the mulch, and nobody else has really asked for that. So it seems like we'll be able to deal with it as it comes, I guess.
Yeah,
We can probably leave it then.
For what it's worth, I also got great feedback on that program. I guess it was phenomenal. The author was great online.
Okay.
They did the first and second grade first, and they were wonderful. But I guess the upper grades were even better. Asked really great questions. The author was really engaging. So, I wish it would be nice if we could, give the feedback to other schools and let them know that, this did work really well, and here's how to do it, and maybe get some things, some programming if we are going to be online, in the future.
So, Amy, are you still with us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a good thought. Like going for next year, and in terms of grants and how we're communicating with them. And this is for everybody, but maybe we can, in this new world, give some advice. Like we were going to have the workshops and all of that, and we have to rethink how that's going to be. And it's probably going to be some kind of a Zoom meeting, and maybe we can start thinking about collecting virtual choices for people. So does anybody, Shalonj, do you have anything else, or can I move? Are we okay to move ahead?
I'm good.
Okay, great. Oh, just to clarify, so you're saying Bernie said that if something were to happen where because we were waiting on correspondence and something got delayed, that there's something that can be done to carry over this year's state fund if necessary.
Yeah, I have to contact, I have it written down somewhere. I think it's like the accounting, and put in some paperwork and work it out with them. And I said that I would do that if we needed to.
Just if it necessary. Okay, very good. Okay. So I had next on the agenda for talking about state updates, and you guys get the emails from Timothea as well. A lot of that, I've been able to jump on a couple of those regional meetings, but not all of them. And so with only one eye on it, I would say generally that, Massachusetts Cultural Council right now has its eye on how to support cultural organizations, how to support individual artists, and they're, doing a lot of advocacy and trying to lobby for additional funds. And those sort of bills are in different states of being and waiting on certain levels of approval. So I have been sharing a little of that and keeping up on it, but it really doesn't impact us that much, because although we have talked about strategically moving toward doing more work with organizations or some of our own projects, we hadn't quite gotten there yet. So most of our folks are still the schools or smaller orgs that we've been working with, and so there was no big event, that we were waiting on, or none of our partners that are really super impacted by loss of funds in the immediate way. So sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So I don't think there's a huge amount of news there from my standpoint, except for that we might spur a discussion about again, like what we want to think about doing with the little bit of extra money that we had talked about putting aside for doing our own sort of initiative, and just some of the conversations that we had started for fundraising, and what kind of lens we need to be looking through, and what people need, and how we can help people from a art and cultural standpoint now in this brave new world. Did anybody else have anything from those emails from Timothea that you had questions about or wanted to point out?
I'd like to say that those regional meetings that the MCC runs, that Timothea writes to us about, they're very interesting. And I would recommend, if you had time to sit in and listen to one or two, whenever time allows, it's helpful. They had a presentation, Kate, I don't know if you listened to that one, where they had an outdoor parking lot art event. I forget which town did that. There was another presentation where one of the towns was having their farmers market, and they had a diagram showing how we can do it safely. Where do we set up this vendor? Where do we set up the cash register? So it's just nice to see what the other towns are doing and keeping the culture going forward during COVID.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't on that one, but I looked at some of it actually today, and it occurred to me that some of those decisions have already been made, like we're not having our farmers market. I don't know if they're going to if they can even change their mind on that, but it seems like a lot of places are feeling more comfortable doing outdoor things. Mm-hmm. We had talked about doing some fundraising at Norwood Day, doing a sort of a photo contest. We could potentially still do a photo contest. That's something you can do virtually, right? And that could be a great end of summer or anytime during the summer thing. So that might be a great thing that we could do, just to do outreach, see how people are doing, and let them know, we're still here, and that sort of thing. So we could, since we've talked about it more than anything else, it might be an easy thing to run with. I don't know, what do you guys think? The last time we talked, we were kind of all feeling like it was the wrong time. It was still early days, and it was the wrong time to be celebrating art and culture when so many people are struggling, and still people are struggling. But we understand too that people build community around art and culture, and so it is a way to connect people. So something like, why don't we think about this photo contest and any ideas that would help us sort of come together. You could do a Chalk the Walk. You could do, we could talk to the Norwood Art Association. I'm just throwing things out here. We could talk to the Norwood Art Association about if they are going to do art in the park, and if there's any way that we could partner with that as an outdoor thing. So not to put pressure on you now, because I didn't really put this on the agenda, but if you think of stuff, maybe, we could always do a subcommittee meeting too, and make it, aim for August or something like that. So with that, speaking of other cool stuff, Art Week, I don't know if you guys saw, is actually taking a hiatus for 2021. And I'm sure that's for tons of reasons that have to do with the new economy and the new reality that we find ourselves in. But there's no reason necessarily that we here in Norwood can't think of doing some kind of a festival similar similarly themed festival, or start planning for one anyway, that we could plug in, because we did have so much interest, and we could still do some of those things and just call it something different, potentially. So I wanted to hear what you guys thought about that, and just, things that I might not be thinking of. Obviously, there's a lot of unknowns, but.
I was just thinking, why don't we do some online workshop through our Facebook? Like we post different video clips to online through our Facebook, and they come to know about different arts. For example, origami. If we are doing something, we just post the pictures so that they can do it on their own. But we show them step by step through our Facebook page, where they can follow up through, like once in a week, we put a project on that, like origami, or we take a different art form of different happening in crafts, like that, and we display in different clips like that to them. They look into that step by step, and they try to do on their own, and then they post it to us, so that it becomes an interactive way that we come to know that they are enjoying, or their feedbacks to that. And we just keep other kids engaged through such things, and we just keep them giving more information about the new art and craft, which might be been done in the.
Yeah, I like that idea, and we could maybe even partner with like the library on it, or the rec center on it, and we could feature it. We could see what we could do if we did like a weekly one. Were you talking about for like an art, like a particular time, or like
No, it will be created by us, and it will be posted once, and anyone who is interested can see it anytime. They can go through that, and whatever they have, they can just feedback to us that how did they feel about that particular project, that workshop which we posted to them. And it will be totally created on a, like, just clip by clip, 1, 2, like that, stepwise, and displayed at once, like that. So maybe that's the way to interact with them, through different modes of arts.
I like it.
Okay, for Art Week 2021, were you envisioning an in-person events or virtual, or for Norwood's version of Art Week?
Well, I hope some of it would be in person, but outdoor is what I was saying. I mean, a lot of what we were talking about anyway was like a good percentage outdoors. So the kite event could still happen. Something down at Little Bird, that was indoor, outdoor.
Like art in the park.
What's that? Art in the park. We could go back to the idea of doing something on the common. But maybe what we would need is some backup plans, virtual backup plans for then.
To bounce off of Raji's idea of doing the art lesson, or the virtual session that they can make on their own, it would be fun to maybe have like have them post back pictures of what they did, and we could have like a virtual art gallery of what people did.
Oh, that's cool.
Even we can just continue with the kite festival, that kite week we were doing, to try to, we can just post different images of how to make the kite through paper and something, and they can just enjoy the same thing in a different concept, but still go with that. And the easy steps we show them through the pictures, and they follow the instructions and try to make on their own. So the same event can be turned into a different way, but some fun.
We could even, if we really were ambitious, get the kite kits, and then if people ask for them, give them to people, and then let them design at home, and let them show us how they came out, and them show us videos of them flying them, because we still have the availability to get those. They weren't a lot of money, and we do have some money to spend. It might be a great thing to do for people.
That's great.
And that's what I was going to say, is that we could still get them. People could still RSVP like we had planned on, do everything as if it was going to be in person. That way we would know how many kite kits to get, and then there would be a time from this Saturday from 1 to 4, you can come and pick up your kit if you RSVP'd, and then we'll have some extras in case people didn't. And then they can go ahead and do it at home, like that side.
Because the kites aren't hard to make at all. I mean, if we did the virtual little video of how to put it together. In fact, I think there's actually videos of those exact kites on how to put them together. The kit comes fully ready to go. It would just be, I could take a quick ride down to Marshfield and get everything we need because the guy has them. He was waiting for us.
I think people will be involved if they can just pick up a kit instead of like figure out where to get all the stuff from.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Not to mention, it like actually takes a certain bend of the wood, and there's a certain material they need to make the kite out of. And the tails are a certain material. Trying to pull that stuff from your house, your kite's not going to fly. But these kites actually fly, and they're fabulous. It'll be a great, fun family thing to sponsor.
So what are you guys thinking? I mean,
did we already purchase a bunch of kites?
We didn't. We were ready to go do it, and like we were literally, Kate and I had passed back a couple emails, and the man was ready to take our order, and we kind of just all this sort of happened, and so we just kind of let it go, basically figuring we do it next year, because I think Art Week got canceled pretty quickly, right? It wasn't even like a question. So we can do it. We're just, I think what we're proposing, Kate, is to basically put it up there on the Cultural Council's website, our page, and offer it out to people, let them, ask us for kites, and then we'll go down and get the kits and have them available for them.
you want to do it like soon?
Why not?
Yeah.
Okay. So, how long will it, so we should just promote it for a little bit while we give us time to pick it up, promote it, and then we'll have, we can put it on the town website, we can put it on our Facebook page, create an event for it. We could even do some flyers for it. That way, because I know Facebook is tricky sometimes, like it doesn't always, it drives me insane, but just to
So we just need to make sure we get to see the guys and make sure that they're still in business and that everything's fine with them. You just don't know. Everything's kind of strange right now. So I'll reach out to them by email. And if he can come back and say he can give, because I think he could give us 200 or 300 kits really easily at the time. Now we may not want that many, but he had them at the time. So I can't imagine he sold all those kits between then and now, but you never know. And but he might be living in somewhere else now. You just don't know what people are doing. They might have gone to stay with their kids or something. You just don't know.
Okay. So say that he responds positively, and we can do it. Is it good to aim for like a July 4th thing, do you think? And then we have people show because there's going to be no parade, right? So we could aim for that. They could take, and then we could have people could post their pictures and do a big share on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So how about we say, Denise, you get in touch, and then if it's successful, then we can sort of have a subcommittee meeting, which we wouldn't need to have as officially. So, and then we could plan the rest of that out. But if the outline is agreeable to everybody for that timeline, and then I think that's a great idea.
That'd be fun. Yes.
Okay. And then maybe like
That's fine. I just had one question. I was wondering about, did you want to save this to be like a signature event for the 2021 Norwood Art Week? We need something.
We could do it
just
again.
throwing it out there.
It's one of those things that's true. So much fun. Like if you could do it every year, it would be different every year, even though it's the same thing. I mean, kids grow, different kids will come, different families will be involved. So it's certainly something that it would just be a fun thing to know that that's something we do. And then it'll be great if we can do it in 2022 at this point, or 2021, and have a huge crowd come and do it. At this point, you're basically giving it to people individually, and they're going to do it at home and fly on their own and maybe send us a video. But it's pretty powerful when they're all running in the field with the little kites behind them. It's a pretty fabulous, just great feeling to see.
I think it's great. That's why I was thinking, we wouldn't do it until then, but I see what you're saying, doing the individual thing first, and we could still do it as a larger event later.
Yes.
Sure.
Denise, I remember you saying it was, sorry, did I interrupt?
Go ahead.
The cost of this, wasn't it like not very much?
Yeah, I don't have my notes with me, but I want to say it was like $2 or $3 a kite.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were talking about doing big, for the presentation aspect, we were talking about making big posters about like the culture of kites. And now we can do that digitally. Like we can,
Yes.
when we post that instructional thing, we can also put together a video about the culture of kites. So that piece is less expensive in that way. So that's
Mhm.
that's great. And then maybe toward the end, maybe for fall, like Norwood Day, what would have been Norwood Day, we could do the photo contest.
Mhm.
And that would be all about our town and all of that stuff. That's cool. I love it. I think it's a great way to reach out to people and to let them know we're here, give them something to sort of come together on. I don't really have anything else. I know that, you know, as we wrap up, please someone remind me, what did we do? Did we not meet over the summer last year? I don't know. We probably will need to finalize this information, but it can be a subcommittee. But did we go on hiatus for like July, or did we meet?
Our intention was to meet, but something happened with Kelly. Maybe something happened that we did not end up meeting over the summer the way we intended.
July and August.
Yeah, we did not. And none of it was scheduling or what, but we did not.
So what are your guys' thoughts? And Amy, we're not ignoring you, so just jump in if you
Oh, I
have
know. No, that's fine. I'm listening.
Okay, cool. So we do want to do some kind of workshop thing before grant deadlines come. So what are you guys' thoughts about like how everything we would normally be doing is going to be in the context of all these unknown things? Does it make sense to still have a grants team subcommittee meeting and talk about like maybe in early August, and they maybe will know more, and that's when you could plan like a virtual workshop information session?
I think that's a good idea. Because like you guys were saying earlier, we don't even know how much money we're going to be able to get. And that's fine.
Okay.
August is fine.
When do we normally find that out, Shalon, what we're granted? You remember? I'm sorry.
Much later. It's fall time frame, I think.
It's early.
Yeah. We find out.
It's but it's after
I think it's like
the
it's
deadline.
after the grant deadline. Yeah. So I think it's like mid-November.
I think you're right. I think it's November.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll have a better idea of like how much it's going to be. I mean, I think what might change is just like the advice we're going to be giving people on what to apply for, obviously. But whether, you know, how much it's going to be will be I can check in with Timothy of like if she has a sense of when we'll know.
Yeah, usually it's November because it's the grants. Oh no, it's I'm sorry, it's October, because what happens is we have to submit our allocations, and the trouble that we have every year is we have to submit the allocations before we know how many
What we're gonna
grants.
for grants.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Sorry, people getting bedtime right now. They're not.
and then the only thing I wanted to I was just scrolling through some requests and stuff while we were on the phone so I could get the information for you, that we have enough reimbursements that we don't have to submit the extension, because in the 3 I just found there's 1,200 right there. So if we get those paid, we'll be in the next 3 weeks, we'll be fine. But then also there's several programs that have been canceled. Like they're not postponed, they're not rescheduled or anything. They're just flat out canceled. Do we want to, and we don't have to do this today, but some kind of preference or whatnot to if they reapply next year for those grantees? Like is there something that we want to do for them if they come back with another program or whatnot.
Yeah,
So
I
just
mean,
something to think about. We don't need an answer today. but-
okay, that's interesting. And a question that comes up is, so that money will be from the state and it will roll over?
Yes.
Okay,
It'll roll over into our grant money for next year.
Yes.
So it will have to be granted out.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay,
So just something to think about. And what I'll do is I'll send an email out to everyone with all of the programs that were canceled, just so you know, after I get through all of the emails.
okay. I was thinking, Solange, I might do a Google sheet share and put who our grantees are, put their status, like if they've reimbursed, if they're outstanding, if they've canceled, or if they're yet to come or whatever, and then we can share that with the group. But I'll send it to you first.
Why don't we talk about that? Because I already have all of that. That's in my accounting documents. So I have if we've reimbursed them, and in that sheet, if it's canceled, I'm just writing canceled and deducting the money back into our accounts.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, then maybe you could just share out so that we all have it as a frame of reference whenever you
Sure.
whenever it's updated. Okay.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it, just anticipating who might be having those program changes that we had talked about due to,
Right.
and who might need assistance finding virtual stuff or stuff like that. So, all right, great. So it looks like upcoming is going to be a kite thing. We'll wait to hear what Denise says. You could just email us with if it's a go, and if they are available. I mean, and then if so, we'll set up a subcommittee meeting, and whoever wants to participate, we'll set that up and aim for the 4th of July if possible. And then we'll do a little more homework too with Timothea about how people are communicating with their grantees, and then aim for organizing a workshop beginning in August for around the same time period. Where were we at? We were thinking like late August for some kind of workshop information so that people could have that as they started applying, which usually is September 1st. That goes, it opens up. So we'll keep that time frame. And then possibly do a photo contest for around Norwood Day if we're still liking that idea. Anything else?
I just realized, so if we're doing this kite thing for 4th of July, it's like in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, ostensibly, we could if they're available. If they're not available, but it's later, we could do it later.
Yeah, we can move it up pretty quickly. It's just a matter of whether they're available or not.
Okay.
Because if we can't get them in Marshfield, then we have to order them in bulk from a guy in Seattle, which means we have to just build in shipping time.
Okay.
So hopefully the Marshfield's available.
So if it is that too soon, and does it make sense to do it in mid-July or later in July?
No, it's fine. We would just have to start publicizing it like as soon as possible. So as soon as I have the information, like get it posted and get orders in or whatnot. Because we also, if we plan on doing it again in the spring, and we order say 250, 300 sets, and we only get 100 people to do it now, then we have our supply for the spring, and we don't have to reorder. So I'm not that concerned about something like that. It's just that getting people to know about it. We would, as soon as we know if we can get them in Marshfield, or if 4th of July weekend is going to be the weekend for the event, then we want to just make sure to start getting that publicized ASAP, so that way people know about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Great.
Arati, if you have like a how-to idea, were you thinking of doing the origami instructional? Because we can always make that and share it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, sure. You can make different pages, step-by-step project, and like we do a bird through origami, some flowers, everything, and we can just post it on our pages and they can try on their own. And the material needed is hardly the paper, which is easily available with the kids, glue and this all. So they don't need to, rush for the material or anything. So
Yeah.
it's very quick and easy. And, even kids are bored at home, so they get something
Right.
to do. And we can post it according a simple basic one for the small kids, then middle kind of origami stuff for the little higher, and then the advanced. So the different age group can make different things from that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely know people are looking for stuff to do with their kids all the time. So
Yeah,
if you want to put one together and then you can share it.
sure.
Okay. All right, thank you all very much. Let's see, Amy, do you have anything else?
Nope, I don't. Well, at some point, I guess I'd have to talk to you and Solange about figuring out what we're going to do for the workshops in August, the grantee workshops. So
Yes,
I guess
perfect.
I will just email to you guys or something, and then we can figure it out.
Okay, I was thinking that we could hone in on that like in early August when we know a little bit more about what the new grant cycle is going to look like. If that's okay.
Okay.
Okay, great. If there's nothing else, we could have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thanks.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so I hereby adjourn until the next time. Thank you all very much, and we'll look out for emails on what's to come for the guys. Thank you.